there.
This lab is in honor of every single person who has ever fought cancer or has lost their life to cancer against the battle. This lab is a really integral part of Relay because in this time we come together as a community, and in this moment we're not all individuals fighting our own battles, but we're one community fighting this one battle against cancer. We relay as one, remember as one, and we fight back as one.
Welcome to Mission San Jose High School's 2019 Relay for Life.
There was no one there.
By being here today, you made a commitment that you care about something. And as a part of the celebration this morning, it begins with a celebration because at the end of the day, an event of this nature is a celebration.
And we'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher. Go up in the clouds because the view's a little nicer up here, my dear. It won't be long now. It won't be long now.
What's up, guys? Back again. We're at Relay for Life. If you guys remember from last year, my name's Starla. We're walking right now. It's amazing. It's gonna be an awesome event. Part 2. Let's go. Get it.
We'll take a little ride. Go up.
She went outside every recess, took paper and crayons, and asked her friends to write me a card for my recovery after my surgery.
Most of the people at school don't really know that my mom has cancer because it's not really the greatest conversation starter, and I wasn't really open about it. And I guess like Relay is giving me the confidence and strength to open up about my mom.
I was very weak and scared to be separated with my family because I can only stay there, they cannot.
With you, we could go up, 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 and take that little ride. We'll sit there holding hands and everything will be just right. And maybe someday I'll see you again. We'll float up in the clouds and we'll never see the end. We'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher. Go up in the clouds because the view's a little nicer up here.
I do have stage 4 cancer, and I want to know, everybody to know that it's not a stigma, it's nothing that you should hide. If you have friends and family that know they need support, we can all be together for each other.
Hi, my name is Anya, and I want to welcome everyone to our alumni panel. Thank you for everyone who chose to choose their Saturday afternoon with us. We have 6 alumni on this call, and they're going to be sharing their high school relay experiences, their college experiences, and how high school relay for life has affected their college experiences. So for those of you tuning in who've never been to a Relay for Life event or haven't heard about it, it's an organization on the Mission San Jose campus. Relay for Life raises money for the American Cancer Society, and the American Cancer Society funds a lot of cancer patient support programs. If you want to learn more about the specific programs, you can go to acs.org. In addition to raising money, we have a traditional 24-hour event at the end of the school year. This year, obviously, since we can't have an in-person event, there will be a virtual event, and it will still consist of games, speakers, performances, and so many other fun activities that you don't want to miss out on. If you still haven't registered, there's a link in our description, so go ahead and register today, and you can even find out more information about our school's Relay for Life on that website. If you have any questions for the speakers throughout the panel, feel free to type in the live stream chat, or if you want to send them anonymously, you can send them through the Google form in our description. You can choose to ask a question to all the speakers in general or a certain speaker. and questions will be answered at the end. Now, without any further delay, I don't want to take the spotlight of all the amazing speakers who chose to spend their Saturday afternoon to share their wonderful experiences with us. I want to start by introducing our first speaker, which is Sid, and he's from the class of 2014. So Sid, you can unmute and share your story whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. So thank you for the introduction. My name is Sid. I graduated from MSJ in 2014, and I was one of the leads both in 2013 and 2014. And 2013 was the year that we actually started the event. And so just to give a little bit of background, I think on why Relay for Life was important for me was I think it really helped me grow. I think it was a big part of my high school experience, even though it was only 2 years, but I think it had such a huge impact on me for all the years to follow. It was one of the first places where I learned to really work in a team and lead a team, work on my public speaking, and then also just learning to work with, your teachers and like learning to do fundraising and work with sponsorships and businesses out in the community, and as well as the ACS leadership that we get the opportunity to work with. I think these are all like excellent ways that I learned to build confidence in myself and the way that I presented myself to others, and those are just invaluable skills that I've carried with me this far in life. But I think my biggest takeaway from Relay, otherwise, is that if there's something that matters to you, and if you have the support of like-minded people, really anything is possible. And especially in the realm of cancer, which has touched so many of our lives, this is especially important. And the reason that I got involved with the American Cancer Society was one of my soccer teammates that I played with early on in high school actually passed away from cancer at age 16. And I, never really thought that cancer could affect someone so young. But I think that was especially a testament to just how it can change anyone's lives, no matter how old you are, how young you are, at what stage of life you're in. It can really make a huge impact. And that was one of the first things that led me to get involved with Relay. And like I was saying, I think if something matters to you, anything is possible. And I think the way that Relay has really grown over the last few years since it started in 2013 is just a testament to that statement. So I some of the other panel members and committee members can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think their events raised over $500,000 over the last 7 years, and has quickly become one of the highest performing events on the West Coast. So I think it's a huge testament to Mission San Jose High School and the community that we have there. So next, I just want to talk about some of my favorite memories, top 3 memories that I had for Relay for Life. And I think the first one will kind of segue nicely from that sense of community that we have. And it was actually during our Luminaria ceremony, during our very, I think, first or second year that it happened. And for those of you that don't know, a Luminaria ceremony is a very special ceremony where we honor the cancer caregivers and survivors by lighting candles in the evening. And unfortunately, during our year, the sprinklers on the field went off. And the first thing I remember that I thought was, our event has just been ruined. And everything that we worked for is just down the drain. And I think one of the most surprising things that happened was that everyone just came together in the middle of the night, soaking wet, to save the event and made sure the event went on. And everyone grabbed boxes and whatever they could to cover up the sprinklers, put their tents on it, whatever they could find, in order to make sure that we could move on with the event. And I remember Mr. Larson, who was the principal at the time, was on the phone with the school district trying to shut off the water. And, all in all, just, I often think these days that I'm glad the sprinklers went off, because it really brought us all together in that moment. And I think that was just like a tiny, funny thing that happened, but I actually think that led to the success of the event and how close that everyone became after that. Some of the other highlights during my time that I was there was that I think we completely blew our fundraising goals out of the water, and we could not have done that without the support of the community, our teachers, the students that were involved, the parents, and really anyone else who participated in the event. We went from having no event and really not really even knowing who was going to show up, how we were going to get sponsors, if teachers would want to participate, and really if anyone would even stay there for the entire time. And we ended up completely blowing that fundraising goal out of the water, and of course that set off this chain reaction that has carried the event forward over many years. So that was just an incredible feeling. And then another opportunity that I personally had during my time was being part of the regional leadership team. And so I think during my senior year of high school, I had the opportunity to help develop other Relay for Life events that were in the Northern California area, even in the Southern California area. And then I also had the opportunity to travel to Atlanta and take part in the national ACS convention. And there I was able to meet all of the event leads from all over the country and really get together and work on figuring out ways to make this event more successful for everyone. And so those are just some really incredible moments from my couple of years being involved at MSJ. So now just moving on past Relay for Life and my time at Mission San Jose, I went to UCSD for college and I majored in bioinformatics. And really that was an incredible time. I think if anybody has questions, if anybody in our live chat has questions about UCSD or college or how that's been, I'd be happy to answer them. But it was an incredible place to go to college. I got to surf before class and go hiking on the weekends. And so it was a really, really fun time in my life. And while I was there, I studied bioinformatics, which is a combined degree in biology and computer science. And so that was really challenging and really fun and really interesting. But more importantly, it was also influenced by my time in Relay. I got involved with Relay for Life because my life was touched by cancer, and I had the good fortune of being able to study some of the newest techniques in cancer therapy and some of the work in genetics that's really up and coming. And so that was an incredible opportunity and for me, and just something that was almost directly born out of participating in Relay for Life. After college, I took a year off and worked at a genetic testing company, a biotechnology company in San Francisco. And that was, again, just an incredible extension of my time in Relay and what I'd learned about cancer. And I got to work at a company that was doing cancer testing. And that was such an interesting time in my life, being able to come from being a student in high school that was kind of interested in helping people with cancer to getting to work in industry and really working with people who were pushing the industry forward in terms of cancer therapy. And eventually that led me to medical school. And now I'm fortunate to be in Chicago. I am a second-year medical student at Northwestern, and I am currently in my oncology unit, so I'm actually learning about cancer therapies. This is a really well-timed event, but it has really just been a full circle experience for me. And I think getting involved in Relay for Life early on was one of the most important experiences that I had during high school. And then lastly, I think I just wanted to touch on some of the lifelong friends and memories that I've had. I've talked a lot about the memories, but I've definitely kept in touch with some of the people here on this panel. Mili Parikh, who isn't here currently, but was the first Relay lead. She actually went to UCSD with me and was definitely one of my mentors throughout life, and has definitely given me a lot of guidance throughout high school, throughout college, and she herself is now in her 4th year in medical school and is planning to pursue oncology as a career. So I think it's been a great experience for me, and I am just really glad I got involved early with Relay for Life. So that's most of what I had to say. If there's any questions, I don't know if somebody can ask me, but if not, I think I can pass it off to the next speaker.
Yeah, so we're actually going to be taking questions at the end. So if anyone has questions for Sid specifically, or even a general question for all the panelists, feel free to type in the chat, or you can put in our Google form, which is in the bio. So thank you, Sid, so much for sharing your amazing experiences. I think it's so glad to hear from one of the first leads from when Relay was started. And obviously Relay has come such a far way these past 8 years. So thank you so much. And I do want to introduce our next speaker, which is Shivam from the class of 2016. So Shivam, feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Thanks for the introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Shivam Parikh. I graduated from Mission San Jose in the class of 2016. I was a freshman in the year 2012, which seems like a completely different time period, especially now that we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's virtual school and all of these things. But I started as a freshman at Mission San Jose in 2012. And that was actually the first year that Relay was going to start at Mission. And I got involved in my freshman year. I was the entertainment lead for 2 years. The first year, we really didn't have much in the name of entertainment, but we tried our best. And it was honestly, it was an experience. I don't know if I'd say that being entertainment lead for a year when no one knew about the event and we didn't really have an idea of what entertainment is, and there was no we didn't have Spotify or Apple Music at the time. So one of the biggest things was the weekend before the event, we'd all be cramming into someone's classroom and downloading MP3 files for music to play. And oh, is this music clean? And no, we can't play this music because there's too many bad words in it. But like maybe we can let this one slide because it's a really good song. And it was a really wild time. And that was the first year. We didn't really have that much of a huge goal. We thought we'd get a couple hundred people, maybe $20-something thousand. And we managed to end that event with almost $35,000, and I think close to like 400 people that came out that year. And just seeing that at the very beginning and knowing that I was kind of there when it started gave me a lot of that confidence and also hope for what this event could be and what I could maybe help, turn that into with the help of all of our other event leads and our event, chairs and the committee and the teachers and our ACS leadership. I kind of knew after freshman year that this was going to be a big part of my high school experience. And so I feel really fortunate to have been there kind of at the right place at the right time. And it worked out, pretty well, I'd say. So the event itself, I think, means a lot, not just because of its impact on the school. Obviously, the students at the school know what Relay is, and the bell tower gets decorated, and there's thermometers all over the campus, and the school kind of gets to know about Relay for Life, and it's become part of the culture over the last 7 or so years that it's been around. But I think what was really neat was understanding that in high school, in Fremont especially, our worldview is a little small, and we kind of live in a little bit of a bubble, and we go to school and we hang out with our friends, and we come back home and we do our extracurricular activities and we try to get good grades, and that's kind of the worldview that we have. And when you start to work on some of the fight back activities, or you start to communicate with ACS leadership, and you realize like, okay, this is an event that's not just here, not just in Fremont, not just the Bay Area, but it's across the entire nation, across the whole world. And there's so many people involved with this. And there's also so many people that are touched by cancer every year. It's a huge issue. And so knowing that there's this entire community rallying around this problem, around this disease that we're trying to help, cure or solve or mitigate anything. It's so empowering to know that when you can bring this whole group of people together, things actually do change. Things can change. And one of my favorite parts about the American Cancer Society was ACS CAN, the Cancer Action Network, which is I think it's the lobbying organization that the American Cancer Society has, and they do a lot of powerful work. I think we as individuals try to make a lot of changes on the ground in our events, through our community, through passing on knowledge and information to those around us. But it's also very important to try to make changes at a much larger scale, and that happens in policy. And I think ACS CAN, the volunteers, the employees, the lobbyists, they all do a really, really good job of trying to make sure that the mission statement is heard across the country. And so I do think that was probably one of the great parts that I was able to look up to when I was part of Relay for Life. Some of my memories, I think Sid already mentioned the sprinklers event. It was surreal to be in that moment while we were there. But I think what that one moment really showed, I mean, metaphorically in hindsight, we can go back and say like, wow, we had this whole group of people rally around a certain cause. Like we wanted the water to stop ruining our event, and we did, and immediately mobilized a whole bunch of people. And that's kind of a parallel to what our event really is, a whole bunch of people that may not know each other very well, but we're all rallying around a certain cause and trying to do our best to do what we can to solve the problem. And I think metaphorically that's super important, but also personally, it gave me that whole sense of things go wrong. And, when you're running an event, or when you're part of the leadership for an event, or even if you're just attending the event, things can go wrong at any point in time. And knowing that it's not actually the end of the world, right? I mean, in the moment, it felt like it was. The speakers were getting wet. We had borrowed equipment from the school, and I was like, is this going to get destroyed? Are we going to get fined for this? We don't have money to pay for this. Oh my God, my laptop was on the ground. Everything was wet. The grass was wet. My pants were wet. Like everyone was just like soaked around us. And in that moment, you're just like, this is it. This is terrible. Like this is never happening again. But it happens, and you move on, and things get fixed. And people still showed up to the closing ceremony the morning after. People still stuck around, people powered through. And it makes you realize that in life, things will go wrong, but it's not the end of the world. And it gives you a little bit more of that perspective that if I can make it through that, I think I can make it through a couple other things as well. And just having those experiences, in my opinion, was really powerful to have those early on in high school. I think it's a privilege for the students at Mission to have this kind of event around them, to give them a little bit more of that worldview and to help us realize that there is a community around us. Going a little further into my ACS experience, just like Sid, I was also involved in the ACS regional leadership team, and that also led to me attending the ACS National Conference, which was in Dallas, Texas in 2015. And that was just like the cherry on top to this whole worldview experience, because you show up there and there are student leads, there are adult leads, there are people from community events, from college events, from high school events, and they're all in the same place at the same time. And you just get this sense of that this event has so much momentum, there's so much power here. And I felt reinvigorated in the mission, and also inspired to change, right? Like things can change. We're all here, we're all doing this, we're all working on it. Things can change. And that feeling, that being surrounded by like-minded people with the same mission, was just great. I had a phenomenal time. And I think that really re-energized me when I came back in that summer, and I was event lead in 2016. And you got a whole bunch of fresh ideas from other people, how they run their events. There's a whole network of individuals that are going through the same things that you are as an event lead. And I thought that was just amazing. And then building on to how that impacted my personal life as well, is that was my first experience going to a conference or a convention, right? And being in the industry now. I work at Salesforce. I'm a software engineer, and Salesforce puts together this convention every year called Dreamforce. And I've never been, unfortunately, because I just started working after the pandemic began. But knowing that these conferences and conventions are a huge part of business life, people attend them every year. There's thousands of people that attend conferences across the country every year. And I got to have my first experience at one of these major scale leadership conferences very early on in life. And I thought that was a phenomenal experience. Networking, learning, there's workshops, there's people giving speeches and talks. It was just really an experience of a lifetime. So I do appreciate those opportunities that I got, and it was something that I will never forget. Going on to what I'm doing now and what I did after high school. I went to UC Berkeley. I graduated in 2020 in May with degrees in environmental economics, computer science, and data science. And I feel like I was able to use a little bit of that perseverance that I had learned from Relay, a little bit of that persistence that maybe I can push myself a little harder. We used to push our event every year. Every year that we'd have a new event, we would push further and further and say, how do we make this better? How do we do better? How do we improve? And I think that mindset really, that growth mindset really was drilled into my mind. And I think it helped a lot when I got to college. Because I definitely don't think there was any other way I would have taken on 3 majors if I didn't have the confidence that I can take something else on and I can grow it. And that confidence really came from events like Relay for Life, seeing that growth is natural, growth is present, and you have to work to make it happen. But if you work for it, it will happen. So Relay definitely had a huge impact on my mindset, my mentality, and also just empathy. Relay for Life was probably my largest volunteering commitment in high school, because I was involved for 4 years and there were a lot of hours put into the planning of the event and in the event itself. And that definitely played a role further on in my life, because Salesforce as a company has this very strong commitment to volunteering and to community service. And as a first year engineer at Salesforce, this year I was a volunteer rock star, which means that Salesforce gives us 7 days of what they call volunteer time off. And that's an opportunity to take time off from work to volunteer for causes that you're passionate about. And so I did take 56 hours off even during the pandemic and was able to put in those hours to volunteering. And I think that's another thing that was drilled in, that empathy, that resolve to contribute to my community, to the things that I see around us that need to change. I think it's very powerful. And that was definitely a huge impact from 4 years ago to where I am now in driving the decisions on where I work and where I volunteer and how I make sure that I'm continuing to give back to the community. I think that's pretty much all I had to talk about today, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any about college, about entering the workforce after college, about software engineering, about environmental economics, anything along those lines, or even if it's about Relay for Life and the impact that it's had, or volunteering. More than happy to talk to those questions if anyone has them.
Yeah, thank you, Shivam, for letting us know about all the valuable lessons that Relay has taught you in your high school life. And just thank you so much for sharing. As you said, if you do have any questions for Shivam, who is one of the important people who influenced MSJ Relay at an early stage and shaped it to what it currently is, feel free to type in the chat and let him know. Before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to shout out and thank Mr. Geshke for coming. I know that he typed in the chat. If there are any other teachers watching, feel free to type in the chat or say hi to one of your former students if you recognize them. And we really appreciate you being here and taking your time to hear all these amazing stories. So next I want to introduce Chavi, who's class of 2017. So Chavi, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and speak up.
Hey everyone, my name is Chavi and I'm from the Mission San Jose class of 2017, and I was also an event lead for Relay in 2017 as well. So I actually started doing Relay for Life when I was 12 years old, which is when I attended Fremont's Relay event, and the whole community just coming together for 24 hours to celebrate, honor, and remember those who have cancer just stood out to me so much. You know, there aren't a lot of events in the community where hundreds of people are coming together for a single cause. And on top of that, this wasn't just an event to like raise money, but there was actually like they were creating awareness, they were celebrating life, and everyone was just taking the stand against cancer. And that fact just stood out to me so much. And additionally, at the time, my grandma had been diagnosed with cancer. And since she lives in India, there wasn't really anything I could do for her all the way from here. So by participating in Relay, it felt like I was able to do something for her and just support her through her diagnosis. And after seeing that Relay community with the Fremont Relay for Life, I knew that this was something that I wanted to be a part of. So the next year I started my own team, and the year after that, I joined the committee and helped plan the event. So then in 2013, when Mission founded its own Relay for Life, my brother was actually on the event. He was on the event committee. So I went to see the event, and I was just in awe by that same sense of community that was present here. And it's all put together by a lot of high schoolers, a completely student-run event. And seeing that, I knew that this was something that I wanted to continue to be a part of in high school as well. So a few months later, when I entered as a freshman, I signed up to join that committee as well. And so I was Luminaria chair for 3 years. And I think the best part of being a chair for that specific position was just that the Luminaria ceremony itself was so heartfelt and so meaningful, and getting to actually plan that and create that impact in so many people's lives was very meaningful to me. And honestly, like in high school, being a part of Relay was one of my most favorite and most rewarding experiences. So some of my like top 3 favorite memories is definitely watching the Luminaria ceremony every year. As I said, it was just a very meaningful event, and you could really see how this whole event, how Relay was so impactful to everyone and how it meant so much to all of us. And then another thing I really enjoyed watching was the Purple Couch videos. I'm not sure which year we started those, but essentially those were videos where people talked about the reason they relay, who they relay for, and that along with the Luminaria ceremony just always reminded me about the people I relay in honor of, and it gave me the motivation and drive to continue participating with Relay in high school. And then my third favorite memory, kind of generic, but through Relay, I also made a lot of impactful relationships that helped me change and grow into who I am today. So whether that was people on the committee, people I met through ACS, or just participants I met at the event. And being on a leadership team from the age of 13, but also just being a part of Relay in general, provided me with a lot of opportunities that aren't really readily available to teenagers. As a team captain and a committee member, I was given a lot more responsibility than is normally given to students at that age. You know, you don't really get to take full control of a project or make such impactful decisions, but here I was given the opportunity to do exactly that. I was given a voice, I was allowed to share my ideas and actually implement and follow through with them. And especially having those experiences at an early age, it helped me grow a lot, and it also gave me the courage to pursue similar leadership roles in college as well. I went to UC Santa Cruz for my bachelor's in computer science, and immediately upon getting there, I founded my own organization. And because of the experience I had in Relay, I wasn't really scared to take risks or implement new programs in this organization. And similarly, in my internships or research programs, I was able to take lead on my projects, even without having an authority position, and manage those projects because I had that experience of doing very similar things in Relay. And now in grad school at Carnegie Mellon, I've still been able to continue that leadership experience through volunteering with other organizations. And it all comes back to learning these skills through Relay, whether it was being a participant or whether it was being on the committee. Learning all these things at an early age meant that I didn't have to go through these growing pains in college, and I could focus a lot more on academics, internships, running an organization, or just volunteering with other nonprofits that I'm really passionate about. And through Relay, I I also learned a lot about communication, especially as Shiva mentioned, you're working with a lot of different types of people. You're working with your peers, faculty, even like adults, or working with the leads over at ACS. You're just working with a lot of different types of people, and that really teaches you a lot about communication in large teams. I also learned how to take risks, how to solve unexpected problems, and the most important thing is being able to learn all of these skills in a very supportive environment where even if something goes wrong, or even if you make a mistake, you have a whole group of peers and faculty behind you to support you and help you in case those things go wrong. So ultimately, besides all these skills that helped me grow and be successful throughout college, having Relay in my life just gave me an opportunity to help the people in my life who've been affected by cancer and find this community where everyone's just very passionate about the same cause. Most people, if not everyone, had a personal reason to Relay, and that made every event more memorable. And knowing that over the past 7 years, we've raised $500,000 towards this great cause, it helps you realize how much of an impact you can make in not only the lives of the people who've been touched by cancer, but the lives of everyone across this world. And, over the years, a lot of people have been impacted by cancer, and I'm glad to know that Relay continues to be the one way that I can support them, whether it's through donations or continuing to volunteer with the event. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Chavi, for sharing your story. Chavi was definitely influential to Relay Admission, since she was strongly involved with the Fremont community event, and that brought a lot of positive aspects for our event. So thank you for sharing what you've learned. I think it was pretty amazing. Again, I know I said this so many times, but if you have questions, please leave it in the chat or on the Google form. And I do want to introduce our next speaker, Siona from the class of 2018. So you can go ahead, Siona, and start whenever you're ready.
Hey everyone. So yeah, I'm Siona. I'm currently a third year at UC Davis, and I'm majoring in neurobiology, physiology, and behavior, and minoring in bioinformatics, kind of similar to Sid. And so I joined Relay for Life my freshman year. I think it was 2014, 13, I don't even know. It was so long ago, but I was just like a regular member my first year, and then sophomore year, I joined the ACS CAN committee. And then my junior year, I was the fundraising chair. And then my senior year, I was an experience lead. And so being a part of Relay for Life was definitely a huge part of my high school experience. I met so many new people, made, so many friends. And I think a big thing for me was similar to what, the other panelists have said. It was a chance to really develop my leadership skills. For example, public speaking was always something that really freaked me out. I was always so nerve-wracking, getting up in front of, I could never see myself getting up in front of a stage, in front of all of these students and teachers, and just giving a speech or talking about American Cancer Society. It was something very foreign to me, and Relay for Life gave me that opportunity. And not only that, I was able to have the creative freedom to plan such an amazing event and get so many people involved, and really shift the focus from Relay for Life being a club event that you can go to and just hang out with your friends with for 24 hours to something that really mattered to the students at MSJ. One big thing that Vinny and Christina, the other leads that I was running the Relay with my senior year, we wanted to incorporate more of American Cancer Society's, resources and missions. And so we would talk a lot about the resources that they provide for all people who are affected by cancer. And that was a really big thing that we wanted to do our senior year. And I think it was a good way of getting people to know, what Relay for Life was really about, and make the students at MSJ, really understand that this is a really important event, and it's beyond just a social event. It's something that we're making a difference in the lives of people who are affected by cancer, and we're forming our own community at Mission. And that was just a really important thing to me. When in my sophomore year, my close friend was diagnosed with cancer, and that was kind of the year when I realized I really wanted to get, more involved with Relay for Life. And so after seeing that and seeing him actually talk at one of the events, it was just incredibly moving to me, seeing that all these people around me are here, supporting me as well. I have a community of people who I can talk to whenever I want to. And I just felt very supported and not alone. And it was really nice to see. But so I guess I'll talk about my top 3 memories from Relay for Life. My top memory is definitely the first tree ceremony that we ever had at our event. It was just so nice. We got together, we got to talk about what the significance of the tree was, and getting people to like write down little notes of like hope and why they're relaying, and seeing it all around the tree. It was just a really amazing sight to see, and it was something that was completely new that year, and we could see that it made a really big impact on everyone who came to the event. And then my second favorite memory would probably be being able to raise more than $100,000. That was something that was completely, we did not think that we would ever be able to raise that much money. And I remember it was like the day before the event, and we kept on seeing the numbers going up on our ACS website, and everyone in the ELT was just messaging each other like, oh my God, like I can't believe we've actually raised this much money. And that was insane. We didn't think that we could do something that significant. And it only shows like when I went to, so going on to high school, I'm part of the UC Davis Relay for Life team, I guess. And when I joined the ELT at UC Davis, they actually had known about Mission San Jose, and they were like in shock that we had raised that much money. And I was in shock that they actually knew about our like small high school, like from Fremont. We're definitely not close to UC Davis, but they knew about us. I think that's like really significant to see how much, our event has grown in all these years. It blew me away. But so my third favorite memory, I guess, is a little like cliche, but I just really like, you're sitting there, it's like super cold, it's 3 a.m, and you're just like talking to your friends that are also awake, walking around the track. I've definitely like walked around the track with like Chavi, talking about, God knows what, because it's so cold and it's so like early in the morning. And just that memory, getting to have such close friends or people you're not even that close to, but meeting all of these people, it was just a great experience. And so I guess moving on to what I'm doing now in college. So I'm a neurobiology major. At Davis, I have done a lot with Relay for Life at UC Davis. So I'm currently the president there, and we're college relays it's a very different experience than high school relays. It's a lot more managing things on your own, trying to figure out the logistics of working with the university to put together an event, which is a lot harder than, just emailing Mr. Larson and being like, hey, like, help us out with the stage or whatever. But it's a really awesome experience because now we get to work with like faculty on campus or local businesses, and all of the experiences that I've gained through Relay for Life at Mission has, definitely helped me with not only Relay for Life at UC Davis, but just in general. One thing that I'm really involved with at UC Davis is research. And so being able to speak, on stage or lead all these meetings and talk in front of people has given me like a lot of public speaking experience. So now when I talk at like research conferences or I have to lead data meetings or anything in research, it comes naturally to me now because of all this experience that I've gotten through Relay for Life. And so I'm really grateful for that. But so now I guess talking about my lifelong friends, I'm mostly in touch with a lot of the ELT leads from Mission. I message like Vinny and Christina all the time. A lot of the ELT leads still like message each other, and it's just a really great thing to see that, I've created all of these friendships and I've gotten all these experience from something from high school, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was, a huge part of my like growth as a person, and So yeah, I'm really grateful. I guess that's all I have. If anyone has questions about Davis or I don't know, really anything involving college life, Relay for Life in college, whatever, I'm happy to answer it. But thank you.
Thank you, Siona, so much for sharing. I think it was kind of cool how Relay like contributed to your personality development. I think that was cool to hear. And I think it's so exciting to see how you're taking the Relay spirit to Davis as well. So that's obviously really amazing. I do want to introduce our last speaker, Kira from class of 2020. She actually graduated last year. So Kira, feel free to go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kira Sano. I graduated last year, as Anya mentioned, and I'm currently a freshman at the University of Southern California, double majoring in environmental studies and NGOs and social change. Just a little background, the reason why I relay is honestly because of the people that I've met along the way, and specifically for some close family members that I've had, including 2 of my grandmas and my mom, who has had stage 4 brain cancer. Honestly, like throughout my time caregiving and dealing with the passing of one of my grandmas, like I had a lot of really hard time, I guess, from like 6th grade to freshman year, kind of dealing with this kind of feeling of hopelessness and powerlessness against a disease, because I felt like I couldn't cure it. I couldn't stop this cancer from spreading, and there wasn't much that I felt like I could do. And honestly, that's something I still struggle with, but through Relay for Life, I think I've been able to find a way for me to fight back against cancer, for me to find a community, and honestly, to be able to make my mom and everyone else proud by fighting back against the thing that has taken already so much from us. I guess a little experience on my leadership team. I think right after I saw my first event, which I was completely blown away by, like with the Luminaria ceremony, with everything like that, especially the tree planting ceremony. I thought that was really cool and everything. But after then, I decided to apply to the leadership team. And for those past 3 years, Relay became a huge part of my life. It was the part of my life that I was able to grow from a lot. And it was also a way for me to kind of fight back alongside a lot of really cool people on the event leadership team, which was really nice. And I started taking on, I guess, bigger and bigger roles. Just like some of the other people on the call, I started getting involved on the regional campus leadership team. And my senior year, I got the chance to become the youth chair for the national campus leadership team. So that means I currently work with high schoolers across the nation, which is really cool. And yeah, but kind of my experience just with Missions Relay. Missions Relay has taught me a lot and has given me a lot of cool opportunities. Even when it was just in person, I think I learned a lot of public speaking skills, planning skills, leadership, mainly due to Mr. Brogman and our lovely advisor, and also because of the opportunities that you get. Some of the cool things I've gotten to do were specifically for the online relay, like build a website, edit some cool graphics, and like random Minecraft server things, which I wasn't involved in before, live streaming, like random planning skills. And I think I learned a lot about kind of being able to talk with companies, make elevator pitches, and kind of have personal connections. And honestly, throughout these past few years, I've seen the event leadership team as some of my closest friends, like basically like my second family at a point in time, because I spent probably way too much of my time in Mr. Brogman's classroom after school, probably like 5 hours on Fridays and on Wednesdays. But it's definitely been such a fulfilling experience. But yeah, kind of a little more about the work that I've been able to do with the ACS. I've been able to kind of on the national campus leadership team and with the regional one, been able to work with other high schoolers and a lot of other like community events and other things, which has been really nice. It's surprising to say, Mission has been doing great, by the way. You guys are fantastic. We are one of the top performers in the nation right now, which is really cool to see. And I've been able to talk with some advocacy panels. So I've been doing some talks in youth health equity with my caregiving experience and just trying to build a community. Kind of a little bit about my time in Mission. I know it only ended last year, but I think throughout my time, I've been able to grow a lot, specifically through Relay for Life, as I mentioned. Just a little bit of a personal note, as I said, like I had a lot of issues with dealing with my mom's cancer diagnosis. And honestly, at the time, like I was dealing with my own health issues. And thankfully, with a lot of understanding from my teachers, I had to miss a lot of school because of my own health and because I've had to caregive a lot. And there have been some amazing teachers who have given me a lot of slack and allowed me the resources to kind of continue and prosper. And I think that in Relay for Life really helped me reframe my mindset about kind of how I viewed education, how I viewed a lot of opportunities in general. I think that was what helped me get through a lot of the competitive mindset from kind of the idea of college apps and a lot of the stuff. I think Relay gave me something to do outside of academics. It gave me something to do outside of STEM. It gave me something to do in general. And I think it made me value what I was doing in education and what I was doing outside of it. And I think I'd been able to develop a really good work ethic that has helped me specifically with college life, making friends. And it has helped me choose my major, my other major, which is NGOs and social change. But yeah, and just a little bit about college. I know like a lot of you guys are seniors, and you may or may not be worried about kind of going during like during a pandemic, honestly, but it honestly hasn't been that bad just because of, I guess, relating back to Relay, like the ability to kind of talk online and stuff like that. I think once you guys get to go down, like it'll be an amazing experience no matter what. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kira, so much for showing how you sort of took your Relay for Life opportunity and leadership skills to the next level at your college and on the national team as well. I think that's really amazing and that's really inspiring. Before I move on to our last speaker, Mili, are you ready to speak?
I am. Just give me 1 second, okay, to get set up.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to thank Miss Dotson. I know she typed comments in the chat. I want to thank you so much for being here. And we do have like a few people submitting questions on our Google Forms. So again, if you have any questions, you can gear them towards a specific speaker or just ask them in general. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they would love to hear your questions. And after the panel, we will be posting all the leads contact info or like all the panelists contact information on our Instagram page. So please make sure to check it out, and you can reach out to them and ask them any questions if you didn't get the chance to during the panel.
Hi, Ms. Dotson and Mr. Geshke.
And Mili, you can start whenever you're ready. You're on mute. Mili, you're on mute. Mili, you're on mute.
I texted her 1 second.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So my name is Mili. I am class of 2013 from high school. I am sorry that I'm not able to add my virtual background. I got a little stuck in traffic and I'm kind of in between places, but I am here to join the event. And I love Relay for Life. I founded it in my 2012 to 2013 year. It was one of the best events of my life. I am really, really happy that I had the opportunity to bring it to Mission. I initially got involved with it in the Newark community, actually. I'm not sure if Fremont has an event at this time, but when I was involved with it back in 2010, 2011, I want to say, there was only in the Tri-City area, there was kind of one event focused in Newark. And so that's where I initially got involved. And I got involved with the event coordinator and the team, like from Relay for Life, and they loved the fact that we were in high school so much that they wanted to bring an event to MSJ. And bringing the event to Mission is one of the best things that I've done, and I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to do so. And I would love to answer any of your questions. Relay for Life has really, really impacted my life in so many ways. I actually got into a direct med program, I think partially probably because of my involvement in such a major event. And so currently I'm in my final year of medical school. I'm about to graduate, and I actually hope to go into oncology. So I would be remiss to say that Relay for Life did not have a huge impact on my life, wanting to ultimately decide my career choice, even within medicine, I think is huge. And I'm very excited to see where the next few years take me. And I hope, as I continue to go down the path of oncology, I hope that Relay for Life is something that I stay deeply involved with.
Thank you, Mili, so much for coming on and sharing. For those of you who don't know, Mili was the person who started Relay, and she started all this like amazing things. She's the one who like sort of set that momentum in place. So thank you so much for being here. That was our last speaker, and I will quickly move on to the questions. There are some questions for some of the specific people. So the first question is actually for Sid. And the question is, did Relay catalyze your interest in attending medical school, or did you know beforehand and Relay helped you truly know that you wanted to become a doctor?
Yeah, it's a great question. Like I said, I got involved with Relay early on because someone close to me was affected by cancer. And at the time, I actually began volunteering with the Be the Match registry, which is a different organization. But then I spoke with Mili, got involved with American Cancer Society, and I think through those experiences, I was just able to meet so many more people who are caregivers, who are survivors, and just have more conversations about what it is like to be sick or be caring for people who are sick. And that definitely impacted my decision to pursue medicine in the long run, because it was really like those personal connections that I wanted to be a part of my career, and something that I wanted to do day in and day out is to help people who are seeing you at their most vulnerable state and helping get them back to their most optimal health and get them back to the lives that they want to live. So that was definitely a huge part. And yeah, I had an interest in biology, and of course, and that also helped, but definitely it was the people part of it that did it for me.
Yeah, thank you. The next question is for Shivam, actually. So the question is, how do you think your high school experience would have been without Relay for Life?
That's a tough hypothetical. I think, in some ways I was lucky that I didn't actually have any years of high school without Relay for Life, because I got to be there for all 4 years, which was pretty amazing. I think, without Relay, I may have found some other avenue for volunteering, but it may not have been as much of a passion of mine. I think one of the biggest things that Relay gave me was visibility into impact of volunteering. And it's like, you can put in the hours and sometimes you don't always see what's on the other side of it. But with Relay, there's this whole community that comes together. There's this 24-hour event towards the end of the year. It was just such a rewarding experience. And then to top all of that off, it was also just really fun to meet new friends and new people and teachers and interact with the school leadership and L2. And you get to see so many different parts of the school and so many different parts of people's lives that maybe weren't really, open or easily seen before that. So being involved in the event, I think, was hugely impactful. And I can't imagine high school without Relay.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. The next question is for Siona. So the question is, what's the NPB program like at Davis? And if you want to explain what NPB stands for, that would be great as well.
Yeah, so NPB stands for neurobiology, physiology, and behavior. I'd say that like a majority of the students at UC Davis majors in NPB. And it's a really awesome program. I absolutely love it. You can basically specialize in any of the three of the like categories. So I'm specializing in neurobiology, but you can also go into physiology or behavior if that's what interests you. Um, and it's a really awesome major overall. You know, you get to learn a lot about like for specifically neurobiology, you know, you get to see um, everything, you know, about the brain disorders, neurobiology of different like drugs. It's absolutely amazing. I love my major. And if you want to know like about specific classes or anything, you can definitely email me when they release our contact information. But I think a really cool class that the major offers is this anatomy class that people actually take the quarter off like part-time to take this class. You get to really get into like dissections and learning all about human anatomy. And people, if you're interested in going into medicine, a lot of people recommend that course. And you can take that if you take the neurobiology or MPV major at UC Davis. So yeah, definitely reach out to me if you have like specific questions, but I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. The next question is for Kira. So the question is, can you talk about the reaction that the event leadership team had when it became clear that COVID would sort of cancel the relay event?
Yeah, of course. It's actually kind of ironic because I'm kind of talking about this at another school that has been inspired by Mission a little later on today. But yeah, I mean, I remember when we had to transition virtual. I think we all kind of remember what was happening around like March 13th, and all of us are kind of maybe it was like kind of a feeling of, oh, we have school off or stuff like that. But I think our ELT kind of felt a lot of disappointment, and because it's really understandable. Like, you guys had worked for the whole year for our fundraising for our event. Like, you guys had done so many great things so far, and especially so late into the planning, to have to transition virtual was, I mean, almost unimaginable at the time, especially on a platform that we had never tried before. It was definitely a very scary time. Honestly, talking with some of the other leads, like, we didn't think that we would be able to have an event. We thought we were going to have to cancel maybe just like a thank you video or something like that. And it was a very different and I guess disappointing time at the time. But I think I mean, we kind of realized, I mean, this is a great opportunity. There's been so much that has been done with the past few relays. Like, it's a testament with all these alumni here. You guys have overcome so many different problems with the sprinklers from founding Mission. There is such a big community that we've had, and we knew that no matter what, we wouldn't be able to let them down. We knew that we would still have people coming. We knew that at the end of the day, COVID wasn't going to let us stop our event. And so I think we were able to turn this into kind of a metaphor for how the fight for cancer really never does stop. And I think that's been really important, especially in the span of what the ACS has been going through very recently, the American Cancer Society. We have had big hits in fundraising, which has honestly compromised the mission very much so, because of research grants, with kind of survivor and caregiver programs that you guys have probably talked about, with advocacy. So many things have been impacted by COVID-19, and we've honestly relied on fundraising events to fund the mission. And I think there's been a big hit with a lot of things that have been happening, but with events like this that have continued to fight, I think that this is the future. You guys are literally funding the future of the American Cancer Society. And I think that the fact that there are so many people watching right now, the fact that you guys have continued to do this is really a testament. Like, we will get through this, and you guys are really carrying the mission right now. So yeah.
Thank you, Kira. Before I move on to the next question, I do want to shout out another teacher. Thank you, Ms. Sultana, for coming. Really appreciate all the teachers that have came and joined and watched all their students talk. So thank you again. Our next question is for Chavi. How did your involvement with the community relay at Fremont influence your involvement with MSJ Relay?
Yeah, so I think the biggest part was having like all this experience from the Fremont Relay for Life, and like understanding how the event works there. It made it a lot easier for me, and it made me want to join the mission one just so I can kind of get this experience with two different Relay for Lives. They both have a very different sense of community because Fremont Relay for Life is pretty much like all these adults that you're working with. I think over my time there was usually only like one or two other students, but then at Mission, you're working entirely with a community of students with like one or two adults. And primarily the factor that motivated me was just creating a bigger impact. You're fundraising in both places. Both events are raising a lot of money and spreading awareness to two different types of communities. Again, like students versus like the other community of like adults and everything. So that was like kind of how my experience from there merged here, just like creating a bigger impact and helping bring the experience that I had from the different types of events we put on there and seeing what I could bring to Mission.
Thank you so much for sharing. We do have one last question before we sort of wrap things up, and it's for Mili. How hard was the process to start Relay for School? And personally, what was your greatest challenge to start such a huge event at Mission?
I think that's a really great question. I think that my initial incentive to start the event at Mission was essentially like, this is such an event that is so meaningful to me, outside of the school. And I think that starting this event with the people that I care about the most, the people that are in my peer group, would be even more meaningful to this event. At that time, obviously, it was very different. I was in a different stage of life. I was 18. I had no idea that I was eventually going to go on to medical school, eventually fall in love with wanting to do oncology. So it was very different. But I think at that time, it was like, what is this meaningful event that I can host, that I have already been involved with, that I know is very meaningful, that I can bring to the people that I love the most at Mission. And I want to say my biggest challenge with starting the event is actually just getting people involved and getting people aware of what this event entailed. As I'm sure you know, when you first start the event, when you first even hear Relay for Life, it's so hard to know, like, what is this event? Like, what does it do? How does it actually benefit people in a very tangible way? And I think that, it's very easy to see the event as like this fun event. You hang out with your friends for 24 hours and you kind of like raise some money and like maybe that will go to cancer patients, right? Like that's kind of the impression that maybe students have if they're not super aware of how the event actually goes. And I want to give huge credit to Kira for having to transition this event to a virtual stage, because I'm sure she has to do so much legwork into realizing that, into teaching, other students and making them recognize that this event is so much more than this like fun event on campus, right? This event has such a tangible impact on cancer patients across the country. So many cancer patients that I met with when I first started this event in 2013, as well as patients that I've worked with throughout my life in undergrad, as well as in medical school, have directly been impacted by Relay for Life. They've directly sought funds from this American Cancer Society. They've directly sought the ability to have transportation, have lodging, have funding for their cancer treatment from the American Cancer Society. And a lot of those funds have been raised from Relay for Life. And it's so hard to recognize that when you're just, you're a young high school student, you're coming to this fun event, you're also involved in 1,000 other things as we all are at Mission. And I think the biggest challenge was getting students involved and getting students aware of how deeply impactful an event like this can be. And as fun as this event is, I think it has a very unique combination of being an event that is equally fun as well as impactful. I think that was my initial challenge, and I want to give huge props to every single event chair that has gone through it along the way, that has taken on that position after me, because I think every single person has had a huge impact on making this event more fun and more meaningful for Mission San Jose students. Obviously, like even my brother was deeply involved with it, and Sid, my brother and Sid were deeply involved with it when I first started the event. So they had a huge insight into it in the beginning. And even people that have come after that have had the ability to really transform this event into this, from this serious thing to something fun and meaningful for all Mission students. So I want to say that was my initial biggest challenge, and I think students have done a really, really good job of overcoming that and transforming that into the big, meaningful, Mission San Jose relevant event that it is today.
Thank you, Mili, so much for sharing. And I'm pretty sure I kind of want to wrap up the panel now. I know we're like a bit over time, and I'm sure all the viewers who are watching were inspired as much as I was. I think all these stories were really great and amazing. I'm so glad I got to hear these. I want to thank all 6 of the panelists for taking time out of your day and providing valuable information for all the viewers. We're so thankful for each one of you for first of all starting that whole relay momentum, and second of all keeping it up and keep it going by adding unique touches and making each year kind of something in itself. So we're all really thankful for all you and all the other leads before us. And for those of you who don't know, Mission San Jose last year in 2020 was 4th in the nation in fundraising, which is really amazing. And we could say that it was all our class, but you know, we definitely couldn't have done it if it weren't for all the people before us who kind of led us to that point. And that's just one of the accomplishments. Relay has grown so much throughout the years, and we couldn't thank all of you enough for getting it going. So yeah, I'm really thankful for all you guys. I'm sure all the leads, all the ELT, and all the current participants are as well. With that being said, our Relay for Life virtual event this year will be on April 24th, which is a Saturday. Obviously, it won't be our traditional event, but as all the panelists said, like their year had some like pretty unique touches to it, and this year definitely will be unique in itself. So I encourage everyone to register if you haven't already. The link is in the description, and the link also has a bunch of other information about Relay for Life. So yeah, so stay tuned for our event. You can follow our MSJ Relay for Life Instagram page and our Facebook group to stay updated for all the other events that we have. So with that being said, I want to wrap it up once again. Thank you guys once again for coming. And again, if you do want to reach out to the panelists individually, we will be posting their contact information on our MSJ Relay for Life Instagram page. So thank you guys so much. And that concludes our alumni panel.